Amnesty International says the state must take urgent steps to protect the rights to life and security. We're joined by the organization's Mienke Steytler. Thank you so much for your time, Mienke. We do appreciate it. Really shocking story. It's really unbelievable to think that 10 of your family members can be gunned down in such a manner, especially because those that committed these crimes posed as the police, police that you're supposed to be trusting. What is Amnesty International calling for?
We first of all, we just want to say that, each of these lives had value as well. And we want to make sure that people don't forget that, and that these mass killings are just happening at a rate that is unprecedented. We also did a quick sum, and we worked out in the last quarter, so October to December, 82 people on average were killed a day. And many of these killings were these sorts of mass killings. And what we are calling for is, of course, the police are saying that they investigate, but these investigations need to be done absolutely thoroughly, and the justice system must start acting as a deterrent, because it comes down to impunity. It's happening a lot because people think they can get away with it, and that is just a violation of the right to life, as you said, and also the right to a security of the person, which are two rights that are enshrined in our Constitution, but actually also in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we feel that the government is failing in that. And the fact that these people allegedly pose as police officers, that is really shocking, because it also comes down to trust in the police and whether communities trust in the police to be able to end these sorts of crimes in their communities. But also, if you are investigating a crime, you actually want people in the community to trust you, so that they tell you if they know of someone who was in possession of a gun, or of someone who may have committed this crime. And if communities can't trust the police, then that won't happen either, and the impunity continues.
Certainly, and my hair stands up when you say things like people continue to do this because they think they can get away with it. And we do see this. I mean, our conviction rate when it comes to rape and murder is shocking and shameful. You touch on the fact that government is not sticking to its constitutional mandate. And this is what a lot of South Africans feel as well, because you sit in fear. You're constantly watching your back. You go to the supermarket, you don't know if you're going to come back. You're sitting in your house. This was a situation where 10 people of one family were sitting in their house and they were gunned down. What do you expect government to do from this? Because, you have, for example, the police minister. He goes to all these crime scenes. He says more needs to be done. There isn't enough capacity to deal with what's happening out there. But as your constitutional mandates, don't tell us what the problem is. We know what the problem is. What's the solution?
Exactly. I was just going to say there's a lot of talk, and we know that it's not only on this issue, it's on many other issues. It's a lot of talk, but we don't see any implementable concrete plans with deadlines, with KPIs, key performance indicators of how are they going to capacitate the police more? How are they intending to build trust in communities? And I mean, we like to engage with government. So we don't just want to shout at them and tell them what to do. We want to engage with them. We write to them. We have actually had some meetings with them, especially around gender-based violence. But then it's like, it stalls again. And so it comes down to the fact that it has to be implemented. We do have laws. We do have a justice system. We do have ways in which crimes need to be investigated. But then it has to happen in that way. And there's no point in turning up to a crime scene and talking, and then months go by again, more people are killed, turn up to the next crime scene, more talking. We need to see plans, but also the next step is that they are implemented. Like you said, the solutions. And then, hopefully then, one will move closer to the delivery of, and this is the right to life is the fundamental human right. All other rights are derived from it in a way, because if you're not alive, you can't be educated, you can't access healthcare, you can't, access water. You had just had a segment on water as well. The right to life is fundamental, and every person in South Africa has that right and should be able to move around the communities without, like you said, checking behind themselves all the time. And the government can say, yes, well, there's this reason and that reason, but the buck does stop with them. And, when civic society wants to engage, when, community policing forums want to engage, then they must engage, and these meetings must have next steps and implementable steps. And
Certainly.
That's what we call for ultimately.
Yes, certainly. And, as a South African, you feel, what does my life mean? Because people are murdered every single day. Just lastly, Mienke, I want to speak about something that you touched on with regards to communities fearing to speak out. And when they do speak out, nothing is done about it.
Yes, exactly. So we do know that there are more, private security officers than police officers in the country. We do know that, of course, this is not an easy job. One must, have sympathy for that. We all understand that. But there is also this trust and this issue where people report that they go to police stations, they're laughed at. They report that, there aren't enough rape kits, for example, when you get to gender-based violence. You wonder whether the crime scene, for example, now in Pietermaritzburg, has been handled with care, and whether those really important forensic evidence is treated in a respectful manner. And because you also hear about court cases that come to court and there's not enough evidence because ultimately the police have not done their job. And that does not build trust in communities. And that means that, unfortunately, even if someone was to know something, they wouldn't necessarily speak out. And which brings me, I'll be very quick to one more point, was the president in his State of the Nation address saying that they were going to strengthen protection for whistleblowers and human rights defenders, people who speak out in their communities. And yet we have seen more people, an activist assassinated only this week, killed this week in Cape Town. Yes, it's being investigated. One would probably find out what happened there. But, you just think of Babita Deokara, and you think of various people who have also fled the country. And we want to see, what are those plans? How are people going to be strengthened? How are the protections for people who speak out going to be strengthened? Because that will also build trust in communities.
Definitely, and it has a ripple effect. Thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it. That is Mienke Steytler from Amnesty International.